You know, on the surface, it seems so incredibly simple, right? Run, jump, save the princess. But underneath those classic 8-bit graphics lies one of the most revolutionary and, honestly, one of the most enduring designs ever created. Today, we're diving into why Super Mario Bros. Didn't just kick off a franchise, it completely changed the very idea of what a video game could even be.
So get this. When a book was proposed about the game's soundtrack, a critic mockingly asked this exact question. Well, it turns out the answer is a huge, resounding yes. The story behind this game is so much deeper and more fascinating than you'd ever guess, and it all starts from a place you would never, ever expect.
So how in the world did an Italian plumber become one of the most recognizable figures on the planet? Well, the truth is, his journey started from some seriously humble beginnings. And believe it or not, the game that we all know and love, it almost didn't happen at all.
Forget about these epic cinematic backstories we have today. This was it. This was the entire premise, right here in the little instruction booklet. The mushroom people got turned into stone, a princess is captured, and you, Mario, you're the only one who can save the day. That simple setup launched a multi-billion-dollar empire. It just goes to show you don't need some complex story when your gameplay design is pretty much perfect.
And here's the absolute kicker. In an interview, the creator himself, Shigeru Miyamoto, revealed that this legendary game was never supposed to be a new beginning. It was actually planned as a grand farewell, the very last cartridge game for the Famicom before Nintendo moved on to a new disc-based console. I mean, just imagine that for a second. The game that literally defined console gaming was supposed to be the end of an era.
But the game's genius design didn't just stop with the gameplay. Oh no, it went all the way to the hero himself. Mario's iconic look wasn't just some happy accident. It was a totally deliberate and, frankly, brilliant choice that set the stage for decades of success.
This quote from Miyamoto, it really shows you how he was thinking. He understood that by not defining Mario too much, by not locking him into a specific story, he was creating something way more valuable than just a hero for a single game. He was creating a blank slate.
So, what do we actually know about Mario? Well, officially, not a whole lot. He's about 24 or 25 years old, and he's a plumber. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But this wasn't laziness. Miyamoto intentionally created what he called an empty vessel, a character so versatile, you could drop him into any situation, a platformer, a go-kart, a tennis match, and it never feels weird. It's the real secret to his incredible, long-lasting appeal.
And this character design, it was all part of a much bigger shift in thinking. See, before Mario, most games were built for arcades. The goal was simple: get your quarter. They were designed with these quick, really tough challenges to keep you feeding coins into the machine. But Super Mario Bros. Was built for your living room. The goal wasn't just to take your money, it was to capture your imagination for hours and hours, creating this deep, fun experience you'd want to come back to over and over again. But the revolution wasn't just about what you could see. What you could hear in Super Mario Bros. Was a total game changer. We have to talk about the music. It's a masterpiece composed by the legendary Koji Kondo that in its entirety lasts for less than 3 minutes.
No, seriously, the main theme, the underground music, the underwater theme, the castle, every single iconic tune from the whole game, all of it adds up to less than 3 minutes of music.
And yet, in those 180 seconds of music, the entire industry was changed forever. Koji Kondo's work completely redefined what video game music could be, and you can still feel its influence in games that come out today.
I mean, this was a huge turning point. Koji Kondo was the very first person ever hired by a game developer specifically to be a composer. Before him, game music was mostly just a bunch of beeps and jingles to get your attention in a loud arcade. But Kondo created a score that actually reacted to what you were doing. It sped up when you grabbed a star. It got tense in the castles. It wasn't just background noise anymore. It was a critical part of the whole experience.
So you take this perfect fusion of design and sound and you create something incredibly solid. So solid, in fact, that nearly 4 decades later, there's a dedicated global community of players still pushing this game to its absolute limits, all in a crazy quest for perfection.
Now this whole quest comes down to this really interesting technical quirk called a frame rule. See, the game doesn't check your time constantly. It only checks if you've finished a level in these little chunks of 21 frames, which is about 1/3 of a second. This means you can't just be a little bit faster, you have to save an entire chunk of time to actually get a better record.
A speedrunner named Darbian came up with the absolute perfect analogy for this. He said a framer rule is like a bus. You either get to the bus stop in time to catch it, or you're stuck waiting for the next one. There's no in-between. And that's what makes shaving off even a fraction of a second in this game so ridiculously hard.
Just look at this timeline of the world record. It goes from 5 minutes and 8 seconds in 2006, and then it takes 15 years and thousands upon thousands of hours of effort from the best players in the world to shave off a mere 14 seconds. Every single one of these new records represents this huge leap in strategy, pushing past what people thought was even humanly possible.
And this is where it gets truly mind-blowing. After all these decades of practice and optimization, the best human players are now putting up times that are almost identical to a tool-assisted speedrun. That's a perfect frame-by-frame run programmed by a computer. Humans are getting within spitting distance of machine-level perfection in a game designed almost 40 years ago. That's just wild.
So why does all of this matter? What's the real takeaway here? It's that Super Mario Bros. Is so much more than just a fun, nostalgic game. It is a true masterclass in what it means to create a timeless design.
You know, even Miyamoto himself seems to look back on this game with a sense of pure awe. He calls Mario a loyal partner, and then he says this, which is so telling. Maybe someday a goal for us to surpass. Even for its legendary creator, Super Mario Bros. Is still the benchmark. It's the high watermark for game design.
And really, that's the heart of it. The combination of Miyamoto's Empty Vessel Hero, which opened up infinite possibilities, and Koji Kondo's incredible world-building music, it all created a foundation so perfect, so finely tuned, that it can still be optimized and perfected by the most skilled players on Earth 4 decades after it was made.
Which kind of leaves us with one final, really big question. What creation today, whether it's a game, an app, a piece of music, whatever, is being built with that same kind of timeless perfection in mind? What is being made right now that people will still be trying to master in the year 2060?